Hey, what's up guys? I'm Ricardo with Vape and Validate, and today we're going to be taking a look at the SMOK TFV16 Tank. Alright guys, so this review has been a long time waiting. I did the first look on this tank a few months ago, and it's about damn time I actually reviewed it. So I took a look at every single coil, at every wattage I could possibly do, and I finally have come to my conclusions on this tank, so let's go ahead and check it out. So this time around, I'm not going to be doing a look at what comes in the box. I already did that in the first look, which you can watch here if you really want to check that out. But my final thoughts on this tank, I actually like it. It's been the first SMOK tank in a very long time that I actually enjoy. The TFV12 was the last one, and that thing leaked like a goddamn sieve. So let's talk about that first. So there were a lot of problems with the previous versions of SMOK tanks, and they have addressed a lot of it with this. The gasket moving from the bottom to the top so where it doesn't bend anymore. Awesome. I haven't had any issues with the gaskets. They've been perfectly fine with me. Coil life has been stupendous on this thing. I've been running the dual coil most of the time. I really enjoy the dual coils for this, and also let's talk about the naming system. So that was another huge problem for SMOK, was their very convoluted and complicated naming systems. With this one, there are 3 coils so far. There's the single mesh, the dual mesh, and the triple mesh, and they're all named single mesh, dual mesh, triple mesh. Super simple, super easy to remember, and yes, they are really good coils. The single coil and the dual coil are really good in their own kind of aspects. The single coil, you really want to run around 70 to, at most I would say is like 80 watts. I wouldn't really push it past 80 watts. The dual coil, on the other hand, I only run it at 110 to 125 watts. It is very flavorful, gives a lot of heat. If you're someone who was using a dripper previously and you need a tank to kind of make it a little bit easier to go throughout your day, then the dual coil on the TFV16 at 110 watts, it is the best tank a dripper could possibly use. I really enjoyed at that wattage. The triple coil, on the other hand, I hated it. No flavor, very little vapor production. It just did not hit right in my opinion. I hated it with a passion. It is a little bit less wattage than the dual coil. They recommend around 90 to 95 watts on the triple, and it just not my cup of tea. It was really tight on the airflow. It was really restricted. The flavor, just like I said, was not there, and the vapor production was not great. But the dual coil is absolutely my favorite. Amazing flavor, great vapor production, which instead of me talking about, why don't I just show you? So yeah, that's 110 watts. It chucks, man. This thing is an absolute beast at 110 watts. The only real complaint I have with this tank is the proprietary drip tip. SMOK fixed pretty much everything about their previous tanks with this tank, so of course they had to introduce a new problem, and that is the proprietary tip. If I could get it off. There it goes. So this is the situation they have with the tip. It's basically a reversed 810. So instead of the drip tip having a 810 stem, the stem is on here. Very similar to what Aspire did with the Cleto back in the day. It's just not a great design, but it means if you lose your tip, of course, you have to buy it from SMOK. But as far as how comfortable the tip is, it is very comfortable. I haven't had any issues. It feels like a normal 810 tip. They felt the need to do it because the way they changed the gaskets up top. I talked about it in the first looks video. It was not necessary for them to do that. They could have found another way, but they didn't, unfortunately. So we're stuck with this situation. But whenever I first posted our first look video, they did not have the ability for you to purchase the drip tips. So if you lost your tip or you broke your tip, you were screwed. There was no way to replace the tip. You were just sucking out of the metal piece. Now they actually sell the tips. Unfortunately, they don't have any like extra colors. It's only the colors that come stock on the tank. So for some reason, if you wanted a blue tip on a gold mod, you can do that now, but there aren't like any solid colors. The only real solid color one is the blue one, and that has like a little bit of black with a little bit of pearlescent in it. So if you want just like a solid black tip, unfortunately they do not have those. And as far as the leaking issue SMOK has had for years on their tanks, this one does leak if you don't do it right. So whenever you're filling up, what you have to do is you have to close off the air vents. These are giant air vents. So honestly, if you don't close your air vents and fill up, I can't really blame the tank for leaking at that point. RD or RTAs do it all the time because they have those massive AFCs at the bottom. So I really can't fault this one for doing it. But as long as you close off your airflow before you fill up, I really haven't had any leaking issues. And also what I do is at night, I will unscrew the tank from the mod and flip it upside down. And I haven't run into any leaking issues since I've been doing that. And this glass protector, honestly, it has saved my ass quite a few times. I like the fact that instead of giving you those little thin vape bands that don't really do anything, this covers the entire glass. And it works. It actually protects it from breaking, and I love it, honestly. I don't even care that they stole it from Vaporized. I really enjoy the fact that they give it to you in the box. And as far as things they give you in the box, they give you the single coil, they give you the dual coil. Both coils are great in their own aspects, just depends on how you want to use it. And the liquid capacity on here is insane. If you use the single mesh coil, you're looking at a 9 mil liquid capacity. That is insane. That's RTA territory on a stock tank, and that is awesome. If you're using the dual and the triple coil, you're closer to like 7.5 mils. Maybe even a little bit less than that. I'd say 7 to 7.5 mils, but it's still an absurd amount of liquid, especially like the biggest competitor to that is like the Falcon King, and that one's a 6.7 mil capacity. So it is a huge difference, especially when you have this giant freaking coil in there. As far as pricing on the TFV16, I've been seeing it online anywhere between like $30 to $35. If you're picking up in store, expect it to be around 35 to 40 bucks. And honestly, at that price point, it's great. I honestly can very much recommend it around the 30 to even $40. Hell, even if it was 45 bucks, I'd still think it'd be a hell of a pickup because it is a great quality tank. It is absolutely the best tank that SMOK has ever made. I give them huge props. I really like the direction they've been going in because I've said it here on the channel a few times that we are not the biggest fans of SMOK, but I am willing to give props to a company when they step their game up and they actually make a good quality product, and SMOK has definitely done it with this tank, and honestly, I highly recommend picking it up. As far as who this tank is for, mainly, like I said previously, I would recommend it to someone who currently is using a dripper but is looking for a tank, because this is the closest that I have found, because I'm a dripper guy and I need a lot of heat in order for me to stay with a tank, which is why even the Falcon King, as good of a tank as the Falcon King is, I can't do it because it's not hot enough. But for 90% of people, I still recommend the Falcon King over the TFV16, especially if you're one of those people that is only going to use the single mesh on the TFV16. You might as well just go the Falcon King. You're going to have better flavor, better coil life. The only reason I would recommend the TFV16 at that point is if you just need a massive liquid capacity, like if you're a truck driver or something and you only vape at like 70 watts, then I could recommend the TFV16. Otherwise, stick with the Falcon King. But if you're a dripper and you need a very high wattage tank, this is it. This is the only one I'm gonna tell you to pick up because it is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, guys, that's all we got for you today. As always, if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments down below or email us at vapeandvalidate@gmail.com, and you might just see me in a future video. But if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit like, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our content to help you make decisions towards a better vaping lifestyle. I'm Ricardo with Vape and Validate. We'll see you next time.